Call the meeting to order. Casey, would you do a roll call, please?
Chair Kelly,
Here.
Vice Chair Herman,
Here.
Board Member Feo,
Here.
Board Member Ruppel.
Yes.
Chair, we have a quorum.
Great, thank you. On the approval of the agenda, that's a new item on us. So, is there any discrepancies on the approval of the agenda? Board, you guys see anything you want to add, or do we need to do a vote on that?
Yes, a motion, second, and a vote.
I think a motion to approve. the
I move
agenda.
to approve the agenda.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion's approved. Number 3, approval of the July 8 minutes. Are there any questions or exceptions that need to be made to those minutes? Could I get a motion then to approve the minutes from the July 18th meeting?
So moved.
Okay.
I'll second.
All right, favor?
Yeah. Aye.
Casey, do we have any visitor communications?
We do not.
Okay, great, thanks. So let's jump into board business.
Mr. Chair, if you don't mind, since we have some new staff members here, maybe a brief round of introductions, if you don't
Yeah.
mind.
Sure. We'll start with you, Casey.
All right. Hello, I'm Casey White. I'm the new project coordinator here as of July. I come here after 10 years with the Forest Service. Really nice to meet you guys. I think all of our meetings have been canceled since I've been here.
Yeah.
And pretty familiar with kind of the urban forest management side of my various duties here, but a lot of this public works, building, looking at plans, it's all very new to me. So I'm looking forward to learning and working with y'all.
Great, thanks.
Great.
Lori, want an introduction?
Oh, I'm Lori Fea, serving on the group. Let's see, I live in Sisters Country, and I work, my paid job is I work for the City of Bend, Environmental Resources Manager, so I manage the city's water rights and water conservation and stormwater and things like that.
I'm Bill Kelly. I'm retired. That's a joke, by the way. But I live here at Sisters in Pine Meadow Village. I joined the board, I think when we started it up with John. You and I both started at the same time about 5-6 years ago. I'm retired from the water industry, where I spent 25 years doing business development for water technologies in the water space. I'm John Herman. I farm just outside of town at the Big Red Barn. Bill, long time doing this. Never appear though. It's very exciting.
Yeah.
I'm Rachel Ruppel. I live over there, off of right by Siege Table farm, and yeah, work in Bend with Lori. My job is continuous improvement. So how do we make government run better? And I have a background in land use planning, so from that perspective, you'll hear a lot about street trees and landscaping from me. And yeah, I'm glad to have you aboard.
Thank you.
Good deal. Let's jump into it. Let's do board business. First off is the City Hall fire and Waterwise landscape design.
If you don't mind, I'm gonna mention that I have the potential for a conflict of interest, because that's my husband right there. So just want everybody to be aware of that.
Are we in contract with?
Yes.
Yes.
We are in contract, okay. So what conflicts do you anticipate we would have?
I'm not certain there would be. Jackson and I have been talking about that. I think it's probably fine for me to participate in the conversation. I haven't even seen what Greenworks has done on this, but I just think that folks should recognize that we.
Thanks for bringing it up. If you feel like you need to recuse yourself at any time, just let us know.
Yep.
Thank you. All right.
I'll fill in for Paul. What we're asking today is a technical review of the final concept plan for the City Hall Fire and Waterwise Landscaping Design Project. City's contracted with Greenworks Landscape Architects to provide a design for the services of City Hall Landscape Design. Mike Fea is the project manager overseeing the project. The goal is to reduce the irrigated turf on the City Hall landscape site, currently requires about 350,000 gallons of water annually. It's mowed every 4 to 5 days during that irrigation season. And we think that this would be a great opportunity to turn this into an educational piece for Waterwise and Firewise landscaping. I think I will turn this over to Mike.
Jackson, could I ask a couple of leading questions? What is our budget for this? What do we contract this amount for?
Just under 15,000.
15,000? Okay. For the design, okay, yeah. I know that one. Okay. And what's the time frame? Are we gonna take and send this out to bid afterwards? What's the time frame of this? Is it gonna be spring type project?
I would believe so.
And would Mike be doing that work? Or is he gonna contract out with someone else?
I believe we would go out to bid,
Okay, great.
if I'm not mistaken.
Cool, all right. Done with questions.
So Casey.
So as Jackson has mentioned, Paul and I began discussions last spring on finding a way to get a Waterwise landscape installed at City Hall. And then the notion of a Firewise landscape being part of the objectives. So we reviewed these drawings with Jackson, Paul, and our city manager, Jordan Wheeler. And so we're just here to give you an update. So when we started looking at Firewise and Waterwise landscape, Paul mentioned the lawn, and his goal is to get rid of as much lawn as possible because of the water use. And so we came up with looking at Waterwise and Firewise landscape principles. We got plant lists from OSU Extension Service for Firewise and Waterwise landscape materials. And so we started looking at different ways to apply that to the city hall site. The first thing we did was got a survey from Deschutes, Dial Deschutes, a GIS survey, and then went out in the field and measured all the trees, their species, and their locations. And so we have those fairly accurately shown on these drawings. I think I want to start with the pallets.
Say when.
Keep going. Right there. You blow up the plant pallet. So this was taken directly from OSU Extension Service, just our professional judgment, looking at different plant types that had Firewise, Waterwise, and pollinator criteria. And so we created this plant list that we used to implement a planting plan for the site. We're not looking at planting any more trees. We've got an adequate number of trees, although that's still up for discussion. We mainly focused on native grasses and native shrubs that have Firewise and Waterwise criteria. And so if you look at this plant list, I'm not going to go through it in detail, but you'll note where we have indicated by whether they're a grass, a ground cover, a perennial. We're trying to add, as Jordan mentioned, an educational garden. So we're hoping to apply this not only to City Hall, but we're hoping that whatever comes out of this process, that the public can learn from and start looking at the landscapes of their house and see if there's some principles that might apply to their own residential gardening. And so these plants were put together specifically for homeowners to become used to the idea of replacing grass and juniper trees and various ornamental perennials with native plants that are Firewise and Waterwise, have those kind of objectives. So not only did we put together this plant palette, but this is available to you in your packet review. We also put together some photo boards. You can scroll back up. And so we created these photo boards. Some of the materials were kind of, can see they're all low growing. They have some interest year round in terms of flower or seed heads. And the idea is to make it part of an attractive landscape. By the way, we borrowed a little bit. We did the Cascade Avenue project 12 years ago for the city. So we borrowed from that list of plans in looking at creating some unity between Cascade Avenue and what we do at City Hall. We also looked at the plans for the roundabout, and we're trying to borrow some of the materials that's there. So if you start getting language that kind of connects all these public properties together. So we're hoping not to create just an ornamental garden here that stands all together alone. We wanted some unified approach. So a lot of these plant materials you'll see up and down Cascade Avenue in the future roundabout landscape project. Now we go back up to the top. So one more. So this was, we did two concept plans. This one was fairly plain Jane. It was just looking at Firewise zones, and Firewise zones that are focused on these set of plans are, there's three zones. There's 0 feet to 5 feet is right around the building. And that is meant to be unplanted. It's meant to be the most fireproof landscape you can have. So we're actually going to look at using lava rock in that zone. And there's a zone beyond that that's 5 to 30 feet. And that's we'll have more plantings. It's not going to be dense shrubbery, but it'll have more plantings on it, like right on the building. And then the 30-foot and beyond zone, we can have a little bit more versatility and flexibility of what plants we use, their spacings and locations. So you can see that described in the legend up above and in your plans that you have in front of you. So this got us talking about the Firewise zones. And it's not super imaginative. The plant layouts are pretty simplistic and follow those zones carefully. We go to the next. We try to create a more interesting plant design for City Hall that still respects those three zones of Firewise landscape, 0 to 5, 5 to 30, 30 beyond, and applied some more naturalistic planting bed layouts, and just to create more interest and inspire the community in looking at what they might do on their sites in a residential setting or a commercial setting. So we added a pathway network where people can actually explore some of the plant materials. We talked about maybe some signage, educating the public, and created these walkways that kind of define some of these zones, get people access around City Hall. So this concept, Paul and Jackson landed on as more appealing, what they'd like to see at City Hall. So concept one kind of got tossed, and this is the one we really focused on. So if you look at the legend, we're looking at possibly some interpretive signage, maybe even daylighting a downspout, directing stormwater off the roof, rain gardens. He added a couple pedestrian bridges just for interest, and Paul really liked that idea a lot. We know we have some budget constraints that are, we're going to be staring at here pretty quickly, and we're looking at creative ways to do some of this landscape implementation, possibly having the city look at building the bridges themselves, possibly doing part of the irrigation system. And then we'd have a contractor do the bulk of the soil work and the planting around the site. So from here, we took it to next step. I don't know how clear that will be. How do you find it? This is, shows those zones of planting. Yeah. You go to the next sheet. We pull up the survey. All the trees have been labeled by species and location. So this will be part of the construction document set. We'll go out from here. Next drawing.
There was no tree removal in the.
Now, there have been some trees in Jackson last year or two.
Yes, we recently performed some tree removal through a grant opportunity we had. That was anything within about 5 feet of the building or any kind of electrical units outside and our generator, as well as some ladder field treatment.
So some of the trees have been limbed up
Or,
for firewise protection.
yep.
Next sheet. This is a legend which you have in your packet, describes the plant materials. Go back up. Down one. And there's a legend for the landscape materials, posing different types of gravels. We're looking at trying to be economical, at the same time provide a naturalistic landscape design that incorporates pathways and plant materials in a way that inspires homeowners. And so we're using a variety of boulders for landscape interest. We're using the red lava rock around the building itself. And then we're looking at another couple of gravel mulches that we would plant into and provide some interest there with different types of rock. And then we have round river rock that we would use, like a simulated dry creek bed, similar to what's out there already. So those are some of the hardscape materials. And then we have the wood footbridge in there. And then the plant materials on the left. For the most part, they're native, 90% native, but they all have Firewise and Waterwise criteria. Next plan. So I haven't reviewed this with Paul and Jackson other than, but this fixes that concept number 2, the colored up drawing that we prepared a few months ago, and we started putting it into a construction site. So that's what you're looking at now. So this is much more detailed. Let's see, planting zones out near the perimeter sidewalks. We're looking at native grasses like Idaho fescue. Idaho fescue is, you see it all over town. It's natural to this, and it grows. The seed heads will get up a little bit high, but the grass itself is a fairly low growing native grass. And so we're using that out near the perimeter. It can even be mowed, like once a year for fire protection. And then between the pathway and the building itself, we have scattered clumps of perennials, some native grasses, and some low shrubs that would provide year-round interest. All right. One more sheet.
That's it.
That's it.
There is
So-
one footbridge that's no longer on that one.
That's correct. We're just looking at costs and trying to save some money. So we still have a couple of footbridges that we eliminated the third one.
Are you gonna replace the pad that's outside the break room? Or is that gonna stay?
No,
stay
that
the
was
same?
Pine Lawn Street.
Now, one of the challenges is because there's all those ponderosas around here, what's the landscape maintenance gonna be like for the needles that fall down?
They will have to be raked.
Can't be blown, they'll have to be raked.
I'm laughing. I spent all weekend.
Breaking
on
news.
the road.
Sort of like a sister's thing. Jackson, you take that into consideration when you're doing the design on this, is how the maintenance is gonna be on the.
We've had some success with blowers on lower speed,
Okay.
lower airflow. just enough to get the pine needles moving, but not enough to get the gravel.
Okay.
But we're familiar with raking pine needles. I don't foresee that being
Big deal.
too much of an issue.
Yeah, you know, there's an old joke that plant evergreen trees, eat litter, you know,
Yeah.
deciduous trees. I was like, they're worse.
Yeah.
They draw year round.
Rachel, any questions?
How'd you know? I really like this plan. I think, it's a great, especially with the dry creek beds and the paths, it makes a great opportunity for education. I would say the one thing that jumped out to me was on because there are paths, would those be cleared during snow? And that's probably more a question for Jackson.
What is the proposed material at the moment?
We got border on this. The wall of rock. I think the intention would be, we haven't really discussed that. I would say probably sidewalks need to be clear.
Yeah.
But these internal paths, it's more of a formal path. It's really is trying to induce people to explore it during the spring and summer.
Mhm.
Things are.
Yeah.
And, give them an opportunity to get educated on native plant materials. And so dead of winter, probably not as much.
Yeah, I will say, there's a lot of kids who live in the neighborhood, so I know that they'll be on
They'll
the
be-
paths. So, it's fine not to clear. But I would say for the wood bridges is to look at some like traction material,
It's good.
cause those can get slippery when we get ice.
It's not gonna be super steep. I mean,
Mhm.
people can get around like
Yeah.
in a wheelchair,
Mhm.
the rock,
Yeah.
gradation of rock signs. Accessible.
Okay.
It's not gonna be some, you know, I don't see some, so.
Good. And then the plant list looks great. The one that I would see if there could be an alternative would be Russian sage. Since it is not native or not like a native analog.
Yeah.
And I didn't actually, when I looked at the plant schedule, it's not featured highly. But I know that when we looked at the plant list for the roundabout landscaping, they had some really nice, just a good diversity of like native or native analog shrubs. But otherwise, I
We
think
can
it looks
easily
great.
eliminate. I think we left it in there
Yeah.
simply because it's all over town. And
Yeah.
it's kind of knits the community together,
Mhm.
you know, up and down Cascade
Yeah.
Avenue. Hood, you know,
Mhm.
you'll see Russian sage everywhere.
Yeah.
And it does make a big splash for months and months. But
Yeah.
that's tough to find,
Mhm.
but we can easily find it.
Yeah. And then I know that there's a plan for interpretive signage, but are we also thinking that there would be opportunity to like label some of the plants along the paths so that people could say like, oh, that purple bush is pretty. What is it?
Mhm.
Find out.
I think so.
Yeah.
We are gonna have some budget constraints, but
Yeah.
we'll lobby for that and see if there's alternatives to provide that.
Yeah.
You know, could team up with the watershed council,
Mhm.
school district.
Yeah.
And see what creative ones we can implement that.
Nice.
Jackson, is there a way to look for a grant from the Firewise organization to see if they would, actually fund the signage for it? Cause I know that they do give out money to the homeowners associations, and this might be, I mean, I think if you wrote the right story, this might work out.
Definitely something we can look into.
I think the other thing that would be educational would be somehow demark the zones. So like
Mhm.
0 to 5 feet, so it just gets people square.
Mhm.
I really go out and look at it and say, oh, okay, this is what I do for 5 feet, this is what I do for 5 to 30. This is what I do for. It's great, you know, an educational piece of that.
Have we, that's another stupid question. Have we talked to the fire department yet? Because I know that they do their Firewise, checks on people's houses. This might be some way we can work together with them to, show off what one looks like. I mean, I think this would be actually a great scenario, because when they come out to your house, they're like, cut down all your trees, cut down all your bushes.
Right.
But this is a real clear example of how it might work out, so.
I think that's definitely one of the things we're hoping to accomplish. As we're encouraging people to go Firewise and they say, well, what do I do for landscaping?
Yeah.
We can say, well, come to City Hall and take a look.
Yeah, I think it's a really powerful tool to work with.
Having the fire department makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think if you send it over to Steve, what's his last name? He does all, Stephen Lord, he does all the Firewise stuff. And copy the chief. That'd be a good thing to do.
Stephen Lord, that was the name that was given to us.
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
He's a solid guy.
Yep. And Jeff Puller.
That's all I had.
So I have some interest in pollinators.
Yes.
So it's really fun to see them on this. I'm wondering if we have yet thought through the educational component of planting for pollinator forage early, mid, late season.
We haven't put that level of thought into it,
Yeah.
but I think that's a great idea.
And I noticed the rabbit brush and bitter brush weren't on this list, probably because of
On purpose,
what was the reason?
Firewise. Rabbit brush and, what was the other one you mentioned?
Bitter brush.
Bitter brush? Yeah,
Is there a zone that we could demonstrate to homeowners to leave them for native pollinators that still is Firewise? Or is the,
Downside zone.
Yeah,
That's zone 3.
some three.
yeah, you know, got mixed feelings about this. I live in a suburb that is, all rabbit brush and it makes up the landscape. And so to tell people they just can't use it around their house, it would be devastating for these neighborhoods to clear it out completely, you know, so. I think we put some thought into that, maybe on the very perimeter, maybe not a mass, maybe it's a few. That shows people, okay, rabbit brush could be used on the outer perimeter. It's, you know, it's such a strong part of the native plant community that you hate to see it just completely wiped out.
Oregon State has a really amazing bee program, and Andoni, who runs that, is very clear in saying rabbit brush is our most important plant in central.
From a
Oregon.
pollinator
From a
perspective.
pollinator perspective.
Yeah.
It's late, very late season
Mhm.
forage. And a lot of people don't view it as beautiful, right? Just kind of a nothing plant that turns yellow every once in a while. And so, encouraging people to leave it, but leave it in the right spot for Firewise. But that's where it comes back to that educational component. So if there was a way to help homeowners know the seasonality of blooms,
Mm-hmm.
the timing of blooms, how do you plant for native pollinators to make sure they have that forage year round? That could be a fun component.
Yeah,
of this too.
we can take a look at spacing them out.
And then bitter brush is the early season brush that is one of the first things that pollinators go looking for.
So one thing I might suggest, Jackson, is there's OSU extension. They have materials already for Firewise and Waterwise. They're kind of dated. I've actually been talking with them. It's a lady named Ariel Cowan, who's the Firewise coordinator with OSU extension, and there is some interest in them updating those documents. I think there might be a connection to this project too, because the best part of those documents are like the pictures and the drawings about examples. So maybe there's some synergistic opportunity or even educational opportunity that they could incorporate. Maybe free of charge.
You have to know when those updates are coming through, because we currently share those, we print out and leave them, in the lobby for folks.
So I've been lobbying them to update them. There is interest, but I think if there's more folks, more jurisdictions lobbying them, the quicker we'll get it as a priority.
Any other questions?
I do want to stress, the reliance on rock mulch. Because you don't probably get that impression. But, I can see the nugget, first photo on page. Place calls beautiful lush grass, rock mulch maintenance. Yeah. We'll hear about it. Because, people generally embrace lawn and they see a bunch of rock mulches, native plants scattered throughout it. We're gonna hear about it.
I think there will be a few people, but I think the community has risen up over the last year, especially after the flat fire, that
Yeah.
it's just part of what's coming down the line. I mean, I live in Pine Meadow Village. We've got more lawn than anybody else in the world. And we're talking about, people are pulling it out and getting rid of it, and putting in rock mulch. So it's just a sign of the times, I think.
You look at, Barclay roundabout.
Yeah.
It's all rock.
Yeah.
There's some shrubs in there, so beautiful sculptures. It's a lot of rock. So we have some of that.
And I think that, even our newer communities like, Clear Pine, that's the new landscape that's really happening in Central Oregon. So I don't worry. That's not something I worry about the nugget about.
No, it's an educational opportunity.
That's the key, I think. I think that this has to be built, and I think all of us have said that. Talk about the pollinators, talk about what's right for your place, talk about the zones. This is really a good way to educate the community.
Yeah, I guess to that point, because your permanent interpretive signs, you want to be talking about all the things that are there, but probably, you're gonna tear out the grass before. But so having some sort of temporary sign saying, hey, what's going on here? So that people know what the plans are. And that can help mitigate, the chatter of the city is just digging everything out. They're just gonna put rock mulch down on the whole property because we're doing Firewise, and that's not what will end up being there. But it will look bad during construction,
And I think you lead with that 350,000 gallon number
Yeah.
or whatever you said.
Yeah.
And you say, not only that, but we weren't creating habitat for all these different things, like we're about to do these incredible things like.
It would be interesting also to see, because I know that I attended a soil class at Seed to Table, and they talked about pollinators the whole time, and I'm like, I never even talked about pollinaters before, and here I'm sitting next to the pollinator guy.
Yeah.
And then when I went to my daughter's yard, she had pollinators there, and it's like, we need to talk more about this. So I think it's a good example of what the community can understand and learn from this.
That seems like the first nugget article, right before the construction.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we can get that done.
Jim,
It's a great story.
Jim will do it.
Full on stuff. Educational aspect of the whole. Light of the flat fire. Yeah. Light of all these programs we've been seeing. The watershed councils. This was definitely garden here, right, it's the city hall with really just the sounds. Good story. Yeah.
Jackson, do we need to take an action on this, or was this just for review purposes?
Review, get more eyes on it, see if there's anything recommended.
Okay. Any final questions? Thanks,
Or,
Mike.
or how are you gonna be on budget? Do you think you'll be able to implement this, or, you know, do we need to help, like, come up with ideas for how to do future phases or something?
Maybe phases, maybe reducing quantities, maybe staff doing some of that landscaping work, as Mike had mentioned. We can get creative with it.
I think all those ideas were volunteers.
Mhm. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
A donation. There's a lot of ideas now. Costing. So this is to get a project. Not go out and see their partners.
And of course, grant funding. We're always looking for grant funds.
Good. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you all.
It was really good. Nice work. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike.
This will leave a nice mark on town. Thank you. All right, Jackson, our next agenda item, the North Locust Pedestrian Improvement Project. Is that next? No, Camp
Camp
Polk.
Polk.
Camp Polk. Sorry.
While I get to that page. All right, so this one, the Camp Polk Multi-Use Path Project, our contract city engineer, Beacon engineer, Eric Huffman is with us today. Provided the design and construction, or will provide the design and construction services for this project. Includes the construction of an 8-foot wide multi-use path along the west side of Camp Polk Road between Barclay Drive and the intersection of Sun Ranch Drive. There's an existing path adjacent to the distillery there, so we'd be connecting with that. This would involve removal of that white fence you currently see there. That is largely in public right of way at the moment. Some tree removal is involved, 6 Norway spruces and 2 junipers, all of which have gotten approval from the Urban Forestry Board for removal. Being an 8-foot wide multi-use path would allow for any users, bicycle or otherwise, to get off the road. That's a high-speed road. It moves 35 miles per hour in there, just creating a safer environment for everybody, and also providing for better connectivity in our bike ped network. This was listed as a medium priority project in our transportation system plan, and is part of council goal for essential infrastructure. Next steps would be completing this final design, and then moving on for a January, February deadline.
So the white fence that's out there, how far is that from the road? Because I looked at the site. It'll look great, by the way, if we do that, remove the white fence, because it's just a crappy looking fence.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're absolutely right.
So I saw the trees, so the path is gonna go up to the trees or beyond it?
I guess what's the separation from the road to the edge of the
Yeah.
path?
Yeah,
Yeah, so I think Eric, I'm correct, the line with the X's on it.
That's right, yes. On the left-hand side of the page, it's 3 or 4 feet from the property line. But inside the public right of way, and then as it goes to the right-hand side of the page to the north, it's more than 6 feet.
It's hard to tell in there. Can you estimate the distance between like edge of path and edge of roadway?
The path is not, oh, the path to the roadway?
Yeah.
That's pages that have.
Yeah, so most of the
Wandering around.
of the sidewalks in town are built to right on the property line, right on the right of way line. And, at the end, it trying to avoid conflicts and trees where we can. But at its closest, it's gonna still be 6 feet from edge of the pavement. Edge of the pavement of the road, so
And then at the driveway at the end.
that's the end of the path to
Yeah,
there'll be a crossing right there, and then there's this gate.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
any questions on that?
Great.
Rachel?
So is there any opportunity to plant some street trees to replace those that are being removed?
We currently don't have any, irrigation in that area. The property, has been off of, turning that into, higher end RV resort
Mhm.
style of property. That would probably come with some on-site improvements, and beautification may be required to install street trees as part of that development. We could look into what it might take,
So if they're required to put, I just wonder what makes them required or not required to put the street trees in? If they're required to put them in, I'm assuming they provide the irrigation from their side.
Right, but we would typically, when a site plan application comes in, we make a requirement, they put street trees. On the right of way every 35 feet down the road. We give them an alternative to put those trees on the backside of the sidewalk if there's any challenge of getting the front side of the sidewalk. So we are flexible usually with developers, if they wanna put it on the backside of the sidewalk, but we require them to treat 35-foot space.
and they would be required to maintain them, so.
What's the status of that project?
TBD, we haven't heard much from them. in quite some time.
Any other questions?
You do pre-install a conduit or something, or something on the other side of the walkway before laying
We could
just in case.
put sleeves in. Yeah, especially if there's a good spot where, for certain want them on the street side. Yeah, we're certain put sleeves in.
The PC low cost business.
Yeah.
And there's no lighting on this section, is there? Ballard lighting like that's on Barkley?
I think there is a pole right there, there's a line going up and down, middle of the page there, it's an overhead line. Pole on each side, I don't know if there's a light on that pole,
Probably not.
probably not.
I was just just curious, because I know Barkley's has the lighting on it, the Ballards there that we just finished installing. I don't think it needs to be lit. But you don't want to run power out there, that drive the project up.
Yeah, contemplating on bollard lighting, I would imagine that. Increase the price tag of the project. Again, we don't know what's happening on that side yet.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, I don't think you should spend the money on it. I mean, you might want to run the conduit or
Yeah.
whatever,
we could certainly, plan ahead with some low cost solution.
Yeah, yeah.
Should that ever come up, but I think a lot of this is dependent on what happens. to that cheap.
Thinking farther down the road with the UGB expansion on the east side of Camp Polk Road. Knowing that this is is this a collector street? What would we consider Camp Polk. I'm wondering what's gonna happen, what would we expect to happen on the east side? Would we have a similar 8-foot path or would it be more standard sidewalk?
These collectors, it's north of Barclay there, but, and on a collector. It's typical, we would have 6-foot sidewalk, 6-foot concrete sidewalk.
Okay,
And we put these multi-use paths where indicated in the TSP.
mm-hmm,
There's certain areas where there's multi-use paths, and that's the ones we choose for those, but everywhere else typically is standard 6-foot sidewalk.
okay,
Except for parts of downtown commercial area that have specials.
okay. Yeah, I was just like, thinking about like. You know, sort of the importance of like lighting on that side if we're also expecting like the other side of the road to develop and
Yeah.
not be fields.
That's
the
actually, we
future.
need to take that into consideration
Yeah.
and stuff on that side of town.
Yeah, cause in the future, like I could envision that there would be street lighting there.
Well, then this would end up with different treatment on each side.
And that's the question, do you match existing or?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
fix it to match.
Yeah, I think you follow the standard on the other side when it develops.
Yeah, I imagine I'll have a master plan with a lot of ideas, but too.
A lot of ideas.
A lot of ideas.
A lot.
Um. It's such a great safety improvement. That's all I have to say.
It really is.
It's very not a great place to walk alongside the road right now.
Really good. It'll look good too. Any other questions? Let's move on. Let's talk about Locust.
Project, working on this especially improvement project. Since the roundabout's gone on Locust, more and more traffic is going to use Boulevard. We've heard from the public, concerns with crossing, especially here, at the intersection Cascade and Locust. This project is going to not only increase the number of crossings, but make them safer, better marks, narrowing that crossing distance, and even inclusion of, power burst, rapid flashing, and with beacon up at the, Blackwood Avenue crossing. We did secure a small city allotment grant, for $250,000, funding, the vast majority of this project.
Nice.
Walking through main intersections, first intersection.
Jackson, back up, I always have two questions that I ask on every project.
Okay.
Budget, which Lori nailed down, and then the timeline that we're looking at for this.
We'll be looking at, 2026.
2020. Okay. Late something.
We do have a timeline, for the grant to get.
Proceed.
Casey, please, let's go on to the first, intersection.
It's actually be on probably page 6, that's, show what's on there.
Tell me when.
Right there. Now, this is, there's a lot going on this page, but up at the upper left is a new crosswalk that is, crossing Locust at Blackwood Avenue. There is, currently, 8 foot wide asphalt path down the west side of Locust. There's no ramps or crosswalk across at the intersection. So on the south leg of that intersection, this includes new ramps connecting to the street, new crosswalk. And then, Jackson mentioned signage, and because this is in a, fairly long stretch of straight road with, speed concerns, incorporating a rapid flashing beacon, solar powered rapid flashing. That someone can, just push the button and, turn on the lights to, give, drivers indication of there's pedestrians there. So that's, big area of this is that upper left there, putting that crossing. And then the rest of this page is sidewalk that is proposed to run along Blackwood Avenue. There currently is kind of sidewalk on that. For the most part, it's straight. It's, it crosses, two, Locust Lane and Maple Lane are 20-foot wide right of ways. They're, smaller than a typical road, but, public right of way. Then, Maple Street and, then down to the town out there, where it terminates there right at the corner of town. This would be an 8 foot wide asphalt path as well. We typically go right along the right of way line, but since there are some bushes and things that are in that stretch, some big boulders, things that people have put there for landscaping, we've got it kind of pushed down from the edge of the road, edge of the right of way there for a ways. And, that's just to avoid conflicts with neighbors. There's a fairly long distance between the edge of the pavement and the road, right of way. We're also trying to not have to go too many fire hydrants. That can get costly.
I like it. I mean, I go over there to pick up, go to seat the table, and it's like, that's the way I go, and I hate that intersection there, it's bad. And I think, Rachel, you said one of our prior meetings, the trees,
I'm
Yeah.
very excited the trees are coming out.
yeah, it's a real tough intersection on that, so. And I think that, I think it's really important to do. Now, on the plans, when they cross we're gonna do some type of path up to the existing path on the other side of Locust.
Yes. Yeah, that, yeah, there's like a ditch there, so that'll be built in and we'll build that up.
Yeah, on that west side ramp connection to the existing path. The ditch is pretty significant, so if there's a way to sort of taper the grade next to the ramp on both the north and the south side.
Yeah.
Just to, I would hate for someone to like take a spill off the ramp itself
Right,
and be like a foot and a half down into the ditch.
yeah. We'll make sure that there's a real gradual slope coming
Yeah.
up. I likely need to put a little pipe.
Great. Has any outreach to the neighbors been done yet on Blackbeard? Or,
We, I walked it, I don't think anybody came out, I didn't talk with them, but I haven't done any specific outreach. No outreach, yeah.
living in that area, right now it's just gravel between people's homes and the street, so it's used as parking areas right now. So I think having that outreach and that conversation of, guess what, your property line's actually back here, because people don't know, and like the demarcation in that area is really unclear, as you sort of pointed out. And then, I'm also guessing on this one, there's probably no, water source, so getting irrigation in would be difficult for street trees.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right, we didn't include trees in the grant application. but,
Yeah.
We could, put some in for wall.
Not like there's near future development there.
Yeah, good, well, cause the thing is, across the street is, that's what's gonna
Yes.
come into the UGB, so you're gonna end up with. Basically, like, the north side of that street is gonna be super nice, have their lovely street trees, and then the people on the south side. Are not. So, yeah, if there's an opportunity to put conduit and think about that area, cause it is, that section of town is not shady at all. There's, there's a couple trees, but it's mostly just gravel.
I think with the water line, the
Mhm.
water main running, in between asphalt road and asphalt path, we want to be very careful. Plant there, defending.
Yeah, absolutely.
If we can.
I think the parking discussion though could be significant. People need to know what they're not gonna be able to do anymore.
Yeah, cause I noticed there's not much in the way of like driveway crossings, which makes sense because it's just all unimproved gravel.
And all of those homes should have, formal garages or some kind of parking pad, even if you can form the space. For a rating stretch, there's still a space between road and path,
Mhm.
for convenience sake, visitors come over.
Yeah.
On this page. Basically, scroll on to this. On Green Ridge, there is currently an ADA pad on the west side. There's no receiving ramp on the east side of that intersection. There's also no crosswalk markings. So this little portion of the project would just be formalizing that crossing more. Again, making it safer.
Yeah, the sidewalk doesn't go anywhere on the east side there, but there are some partition applications that come in on the east side. And conditional approval is for those developers to install sidewalks in the state development. So, eventually, it all is, it's sidewalk.
So we own the whole road, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and it's after Black Butte, we split it with the county, is that how that works?
City.
City, okay. Yeah, it's a good place for a crosswalk.
For this one, at Green Ridge, will there be those like pedestrian crossing signs?
Yeah, we want to make sure that there's enough markings that
Okay.
This entire corridor is, that the drivers are aware and alert with regard to possibility of seeing pedestrians. So that's one of the things we want to do. We won't have the flashing beacon or the button push, because they say in the guidelines, you don't want to put those two things. Then they lose their effectiveness. But signage and striking that everybody will notice.
Any other questions?
Kind of the major, changes would be both of the turn lane on the right hand, portion of Cascade Avenue. Again, shortening that crossing distance for pedestrian, with the elementary school no longer there, you no longer see that, level of traffic there that would necessitate the turn lane. Adding a east-west crossing on the south side, south leg of this intersection where none currently exists. And then for the north east-west crossing, this would get that pedestrian out from behind that large electrical pole there. Again, shortening that distance, creating more visible situation.
Jax, I'm trying to remember, we talked about this before, but somewhere on this stretch that does see a lot more traffic now. There's the temporary trailer out there now, the police flashing light, your speed is trailer. Was there a plan for a permanent speed feedback sign?
Not a feedback sign at the moment, but we are going to be installing a very large highway sized speed limit sign, right as folks exit the front. We just got that sign in, so that should be going in very soon. It'll be going in, very near the blue crosswalk portion. I think that's where lights to enter and exit the roundabout. So right end of that ground stretch where that sign's gonna go.
I think it'd be a good idea to keep an eye on how this goes, because I don't know how long the trailer's gonna be out there, but it's awfully easy to start zooming up that road, because it's a straight stretch forever. And whether, I mean, to me, somewhere along that stretch might be an ideal location for a permanent one, if there's an opportunity.
Yeah, there was a delay in the sign, DCSO was kind of put that out there, in the interim. So I imagine that will be, going away as soon as we have sign, so definitely keep an eye on it. Once sign's installed, past dangerous, clouds, we'll get our cameras out there, get some speed analysis.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, cause the one on the other side coming in,
It's very effective.
it is, it's like, oh, it's going that fast?
Yeah, I know, right?
So that one's really effective. I think it does help slow traffic coming in that direction, which is beneficial because again, we don't want people coming in hot. And you know, I spoke with Chad Davis about this yesterday and he's like, yeah, people just get out of that roundabout and they just start punching it to get going. And they feel that that's what they're supposed to do. So just have to remind them very, you know, adamantly not to do that.
I had a question about the eastern side of East Cascade. With the road width narrowing, is there enough space to put in a striped bike lane? I know there's a,
Yeah, I believe there actually is. The width will be at least 36. It's a little bit narrower today. And in our the typical city standard for that size of road would have a bike lane on it. Now, one thing about this is you go east past Locust Lane, this narrows back in.
Yeah.
And that's the end of that's the project. So, yeah, there should be 18 feet, there should be 12 foot of travel vehicle lane, 6 more. We weren't planning on striping that. It might get confusing with the road narrowing up just a little bit over there. But yeah, we don't want 2 lanes. We don't need 2 lanes because the traffic volumes don't warrant having a left turn pocket school not operating.
Yeah, there's a fair amount of bike traffic, you know, to and from town on that road to the neighborhoods on the east side. And, you know, of course, right now, like, you've got multiple lanes, it's a little crazy, so I feel like bikes end up sort of all over the place because there isn't a clear, yeah, um, in vehicles, like it, more or less, it's a free for all. So you really have to be cautious about, are people paying attention? But I think it's something that we can just see what the improvements do and know that there is space for that potentially. Cause it's really like I'm less concerned about farther down the road. It's really as you're like approaching the
Right.
intersection or, you know, having just made that turn.
I could talk, about, you know, about putting the fog line portion.
Take a look at that.
Okay. And I will note that, from a just change management perspective, people are really used to having the 2 lanes to turn. And so that people will probably get some feedback in the nugget about, you know, having to wait to turn. Because there are a lot of people who like want to turn left, and so you have to wait for the roundabout traffic, and then also not having a dedicated left-hand turn will slow things down for people who are, you know, want to get where they want to go immediately.
It's real.
But it's good, like from a safety perspective, that the design is so much better.
Especially if they-
Yeah.
The city also has, the land use approval for a partition of that property.
So we might get street trees.
There you go.
Yeah, I think it's a triplex.
Well, they just took the house down.
Mhm.
2 trees and, sidewalks going on. But
Great.
Perfect accompaniment.
Could be the mantra from now on. Street trees and sidewalks.
Get some t-shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah, Any additional questions, Rachel? Good, thanks for digging into it. I know it's your hood, so.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like all these east side projects,
I
so
know.
exciting.
Lori?
Good.
Thanks, Jackson, appreciate it.
Yeah,
Good, I think this will be a really good safety feature for us moving forward,
this whole stretch, this is
Yeah.
great.
and people use it. Cool. You want to give us some updates? Other business?
one more. Technical review, main project update, west side pump station and force main. Force main's in the ground, time happened, early morning, a couple weeks back. Everything went very smoothly. Patches are made, crack seal, and so now we're moving on to the pump station, so,
Hey, Jackson, I have one question on that.
yes.
One. On all the, where we did the, laid the pipe on the side of, Jefferson and the people's yards on that easement, a lot of them had gravel in that spot. Are we replacing the gravel that's now, just dirt?
Last I heard, the areas that I'm sure is dirt or gravel, you know what happened.
Okay,
More to come on that.
I just want to make sure, because I I've got friends that going, hey, what's going on with this? And I ask, have they talked to you? And they're like, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, last I heard from Paul, to work with the contractor, making them aware of all property that they need to go back to.
Okay, great.
Clean up work at gravel.
Good. They were really efficient. That was a really nice project, by the way.
Yeah, no, they were really, pushing to get the, work thing done while weather allowed, because you don't go turn. And at a certain point, you get asphalt.
Yeah. Looks good.
Edgerton Road Transmission Main and, Reservoir, we got, survey work and geotech, ongoing for those projects. That's exciting to see happening. Locust Roundabout, if you haven't seen, there's some holes on the side of the road, when the contractor is, getting ready for planting. Yep, they did some cleanup along that fence line out of the center, got rid of all those speeds. So we're just moving forward.
The roundabout before. Winter.
I think we have stressed to the contractor that getting the roundabout, done is a priority. Just, I think we're all saying, see how going on with their. But
Where's the flamingo?
But
And then
yeah,
they'll get little Christmas scarves wrapped around them.
but we should be seeing stuff going this was very soon. I think those are all the major updates I have.
Cool. Any board questions? Do you have any comments?
The good work going on.
Sarah, do you have anything to chime in on?
Just making sure everyone knows that the next step of UGB at the last meeting, we voted for, to the board with the AA, which is the kind of northeast of town. That has several steps to go. Right now, I guess, I'm a little vague on the whole process, but there's a piece where the city and the county have to, put their pieces together and then come to agreement. And then send the application along. So, all that goes smoothly. A lot of work put into that. The community development department did an outstanding job. Yeah, that's probably the biggest news going on. Been so many meetings today. Yeah. So, but any specific topic interested in? Okay, that's a big one.
Cool, thanks. Jackson, on a follow-up to that, when they do that UGB, what's the planning process that's associated with that? For integrating our infrastructure with the new UGB?
If I recall correctly, there is some responsibility put on the developer to help, update master plans. I think that's, what that is.
Yeah, because we're, technically, if we bring those houses into the existing homes out there, would they tie into our water and wastewater system?
Correct. Should they choose
Should they choose?
to?
But I think it would be in our best interest to get them to do that as opposed, because they're running on septic out there, aren't they, most of them?
So should they choose to, annex?
Okay, Roger.
Yes, but if once annexed, they would, hook up the city water.
Are any of the latest master plans, do they include any of that area? That was not, no, so that at some point, those will have to be updated.
Good.
I believe they did all accommodate for Berkeley.
Yeah, our master,
Like general capacity.
our master plan did do that for growth, because I know that we planned out for 2040 with population at 7,000, like that, so. Did accommodate that. Any other issues? Questions? Then I move we adjourn the meeting. All good?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Gavel. Whoa. Well done.
Rotary, bell weaver.
Um,
That's much funner to read.